What is going on, guys? Today we're gonna do a long-term review on my 2018 Dodge Charger. I'm only gonna stick to the facts in this video and I'll let you guys be the judge. I'll make a separate video talking about the things that I love and the things that I hate about this car. But for now, let's talk about the things that worked on this car and the things that did not throughout my ownership period. So just a brief overview. I bought this car April 2018, brand new, and I've had it since. So it's been just over 3 years and I just hit 75,000 miles on this car. So I drive it just about every single day. Summer, rain, snow, it goes through it all. I've road tripped the car all the way from Detroit to California to Washington DC. So it's been through quite a bit. The car is pretty much stock except for a few mods. I have a limited slip differential from the SRT cars swapped in, an oil catch can that I installed at around 40,000 miles, and this rear bumper valance that gets rid of those fake exhaust tips. Other than that, the car is stock. So we'll start on the outside of this car. The paint has been holding up pretty good. Still looks new. I try to keep the thing clean when I can. I never take it through drive-through washes unless they're touchless. Otherwise, I just clean it myself. A lot of rock chips on the front, but that's only because I've been driving it on the highway so much. I'll be getting touch-up paint and filling those in pretty soon. That shouldn't be an issue. Otherwise, it's been holding up and it still looks pretty crisp. Moving on to the tires. This is my third set. You can probably get away with being only on a second set by 75,000 miles, but I do tend to drive a bit harder than the average person, for the record. The brakes. This car goes through brakes worse than any car I've ever owned. I drive all my cars just as hard, and this one will eat up the rotors. 10,000 miles after I bought the car, the stock rotors warped. At around 40,000 miles, I replaced the rotors with drilled and slotted rotors I found. 10,000 miles later, they're warped again. So that's just something to look out for. Some people like to swap to the police brakes, but again, my other cars, which are non-performance oriented, I drive them just as hard, and I've never had this brake issue. So that's just something to look out for. Aside from the warpage, the car brakes just fine. I did put ceramic pads on here, and it did truly help with keeping the brake dust away, so I don't have to clean the wheels as often anymore. Moving on under the hood, I did have to change out the air filter, which is completely normal, but it's worth mentioning that these air filters get dirty very quickly, especially if you don't have an oil catch can. These hemis burn through so much oil, your filters end up being soaked in oil so quickly after you replace it. Moving on to the interior. Now this is almost a bare bones RT blacktop. Aside from the GPS, the heated seats, and the rear parking sensors, the car doesn't really have any options. So not much can go wrong on the inside here. So the Uconnect infotainment center, as many of you know, is very user friendly, but about 3 to 4 times I did experience a couple hiccups. The touchscreen freezes and you can't really control it anymore. Sometimes the volume gets stuck. Other than that, the Uconnect has been pretty reliable and solid. Some people complain about the plastic warping on the interior. I haven't really had those issues, but again, I don't live in a very hot state, so it's not exposed to a lot of sunlight, even though I park it outside at least 70% of the time. In terms of fuel economy, driving in the city has always gotten me anywhere between 14 and 16. Driving on the highway gets me about 26 to 28. Set your cruise control to 55, 60 miles per hour and you can get up to 30 mpg. Now this is a 2018 5.7, so it does get the active exhaust that comes on the SRT vehicles. And with that comes an actuator that controls the valve, which opens or closes based on whether you have it in regular or sport mode and so forth. Just around the 40,000 mile mark, I started hearing a mild vibration noise coming from the exhaust, especially on cold starts. And upon looking into it, I found out that it is indeed from the exhaust valve. There are a few good fixes out there that I can attempt. The rattle can get pretty noisy, but once the exhaust warms up, it seems to go away. In terms of recalls, there's only been one, and it was way early on through my ownership. I think it had to do with the cruise control. I've personally never had an issue with it, but it sounded like it was just a preventative measure. Other than that, the car's been very reliable. Like I said, I've driven this car all over the US. Never left me stranded, and haven't had anything abnormal break on this car yet. In terms of the things that I like about the car and the things that I don't, stay tuned for the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment below, tell me what you think, and we'll see you next time.